Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to a Tin Dog podcast. And as I said last time, I won't be discussing the second disc of the 3-disc Regeneration set. Of the 3-disc Revisitation set, that would be the 3 Doctors. No, this time I'm talking about the Lost Stories.
It's Saturday night tea time in 1977, all over again.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, the 4th Doctor Lost Stories box set.
I've been to the year 4000, and it wasn't like this.
Stand and deliver.
The foe from the future.
You appeared out of thin air.
Did we? Are you sure? My apologies, Doctor. Leela.
He speaks through the air, like Zoannon.
Yes. Roundhead spy!
And you are a priest holding an upside-down crucifix in my face. I can only assume this is an exercise in exorcism. Would I be right?
Great Zoannon! You would wish me to know fear before I die.
Someone tried to kill me within a minute of my arrival, and that's quick, even by my standards.
The Valley of Death.
1977? But that's impossible.
Any questions? Yes, you, sir. The gentleman in the scarf.
Hello there.
Do you know how to fly a plane?
Do I know how to fly a plane? I think we're about to find out. We haven't been introduced. I'm the Doctor.
These humans are so easy to manipulate.
The Doctor. Oh, yes. The scientific advisor from UNIT.
Contact the Minister. I want all air defences on maximum alert.
Yes, sir.
Blade-like incisors like those of a vampire bat.
If only I was not tied to this pole.
Archway, hanging in thin air.
I have seen such an entrance before. It is a force field. The spider will detect vibrations in its web. I told you not to move, you foolish woman.
It's too late.
Subscribers get more at bigfinish.com.
Now, I did intend talking about them separately, the way I like to do. Each story is discussed on its own merits, but as this is a box set you can't buy individually, I think I better discuss them together. And to be honest, I think I need to. It's a very expensive box set. £55 is not cheap in any currency. Has Tom Baker demanded a higher cut, a higher salary? Do the writers need more cash up front? I just don't know why it's this expensive. Yes, it's many, many discs, and perhaps that's it. Like I said a couple of podcasts ago, I was very worried about Tom Baker's return to the role, and I thought I'd listen to these, well, in order. Foe from the Future. The only thing I ever knew about Foe from the Future was that it was mentioned in the info text on the bottom of Talon's Wen Chiang. It originally fitted in that slot. It's got a lot of similarities. This is the story where the guy meets a butler called Butler, which Tom Baker references in Destination Nerva, which is odd because Leela's with him in both stories. Is that an oversight? Or is that just the Doctor being absent-minded? I have no idea. What I do have an idea about is that Foe from the Future's the weaker of the two. It's the longer of the two as well. It's 6 episodes long. It's been reworked from the original scene-by-scene treatment by Robin Banks-Stewart. This is the guy who brought us the Zygons and a lot of ITC stuff. I have a letter somewhere from Robin Banks-Stewart saying I've got the permission to use the Zygons if ever I write a Virgin missing adventure. Do you get the feeling that that ship's definitely sailed? I think so. I think that ship definitely sailed, sank, and is now lost without trace. Crashing on. The Foe from the Future isn't particularly great. It's got some lovely moments, just like Tom Baker from that era, but it keeps reminding you of things. It keeps making you think, isn't that just a bit Talon's Wen Chiang? Isn't that a bit this or that? And you're never quite sure what's going on. The monsters themselves are particularly well realised on audio, but if this had been made for TV, you do get the feeling that it wouldn't have looked brilliant. Big insectoid monsters, even today, are often just seen wearing, well, let's put it this way, It's jumpsuit time, isn't it? And a really well put together head by Neil Gordon. No, I don't know what my problem with this is. Is it that it's too long? Perhaps, but it's a 6-part story, reworking and reinventing and re-showing us what the 6-part story would have been like. On TV, would it have looked wobbly? I know that when I imagine Tom Baker's stories, when I imagine any Big Finish audio, I have 2 definite mental images in my head. One, fabulously expensive set, but also I can't help but imagining the 3-camera setup, the cardboard sets, the effects that are a bit wibbly-wobbly. When they're travelling through the time corridor in this story, I keep picturing, well, the corridor as seen in Pyramids of Mars. I bet you will now that I've said it out loud. There's some brilliant acting in this, but it does get a bit messy with political machinations for no apparent reason being introduced to the plot. If you were editing this down, you would just get rid of those, or at least pare them down. There's a touch of cannibalism in this, which is odd because you don't usually get that in Doctor Who. There's a character who's a bit Borad-esque, being half man, half whatever. Grasshopper? I've no idea. So there are some lovely and memorable moments, but it just doesn't feel great. And like I said a couple of podcasts ago as well, I did start listening to this one, and it just didn't grab me. It didn't grab me so much so that I went off and listened to Destination Nerva. I am, after all, wondering why this is a lost story, and that could be the reason there and then. Which brings us rather neatly to the second lost story. Valley of Death. A far, far superior tale. A reworking of a 4-parter. And you know, you really could see how they could have made this at the BBC. Some of the effects would have been a bit wobbly and wibbly, but that wouldn't have been a problem. Sets inside aircraft can be shot, well, in an aircraft. A flying saucer falling off a cliff wouldn't have looked great, but could have looked acceptable. Think a Creature from the Pit external shots. The jungle could have been realised. Think Face of Evil. The cutaway moments at the beginning setting it in the Victorian age, perfectly acceptable and had a very Talons Wen Chiang feel, which is something we keep coming back to with the 4th Doctor and Leela, because that's who it is, in both of these stories. Except you start thinking this second story wasn't supposed to have Leela in it, was it? It was supposed to have Sarah Jane Smith, because the bit at the beginning where they're on the aeroplane feels so much. It's got a definite feel of Seeds of Doom about it, that whole unit being sent to investigate something. So perhaps it was supposed to have Sarah Jane in it. We'll never truly know. It's by far a superior story. Lovely, lovely jokes about the BBC, about 70s London, about the whole ethos and era is summed up in this story. I can't recommend it enough. But at £55 for a full box set, I just don't know how many people are going to be shelling out to find out stories that were lost, when, like me, a lot of people do believe things were lost for a reason. So yeah, buy this one by all means. Definitely buy Destination Nerva, but that's fine. I'm sure we'll be able to move on. I'm sure there'll be more lost stories along the way. Anyone want to watch Scratchman? I, for one, would love to see Scratchman, or at least hear it in some form or another. I don't even know if there was a script finished, but that's fine. So yes, I'll fade away again and speak to you quite soon, probably about the 3 Doctors, or then again, perhaps about the end of Series 1 of Sarah Jane Smith. We just don't know. Either way, be seeing you.
You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.